At the beginning of every service, we light a flaming chalice, a symbol of our faith. Our chalice lighting words today are from Theresa Soto. Bring your broken hallelujah here. Bring the large one that is beyond repair. Bring that small one that's too soft to share. Bring your broken hallelujah here. I know that people have told you that before you can give, you have to get yourself together. They overstated the value of perfection by a lot. Or they forgot you are the gift. We all bring some broken things, songs and dreams and long-lost hopes, but here and together we reach within. As a community, we begin again, and from the pieces we will build something new. There is work only you can do together.
Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Lincoln on this Sunday morning. My name is the Reverend Oscar Sinclair. I'm joined on the chancel this morning by our worship associate, Jamie Radcliffe. The Unitarian Church of Lincoln aspires to be a loving community, uniting reason with spiritual exploration to transform ourselves and the world. We are about a big vision in this place. We know that creating a loving community begins with welcome. So whether this is your first time here or your 500th, whether you came here hopeful or heartbroken, whatever your age, gender, skin color, whomever you love, whether you are here in person at 6300 A Street, whether you are here on our live stream, whether you are watching this on YouTube on a Tuesday night helping yourself fall asleep. There's at least one person who consistently watches this service at 2 a.m. on Tuesdays. You are welcome, all of you. It is so good to be together. One of the things that we have often asked, and we have perhaps not asked as often as usual during the pandemic, is to invite people in to this place, to these services. If you have found here some measure of hope or joy or faith or belonging in the last 2 years or the last 50 years, tell that to people. Let them know. Say, this is an important place in my life. I hope it can be for you too. But for now, as we enter into worship, take a moment to center yourself, wherever you are, in this place or at home. Find a comfortable place in your body. Take a few deep breaths, and let us begin.
Wade in the water, wade in the water, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that young girl dressed in red? Wade in the water. Must be the children that Moses led. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Who's that young girl dressed in white? Wade in the water. Must be the children of the Israelites. God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Who's the young girl dressed in blue? Wade on the water. Must be the children that's coming through. God's gonna trouble the water. So wade in the water. Wade in the water. Children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. You don't believe I've been redeemed? Wade in the water. Just so the whole lake goes looking for me. Oh, God's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water. Wade in the water. Children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. Thank you. Thank you.
Our story today is called On a Magical Do-Nothing Day by Beatrice Alamagna. Here we are again, me and Mom in the same cabin, the same forest, the same rain, Dad back in the city. Mom sat at her desk, quietly writing while I destroyed Martians. Actually, I was just pressing the same button over and over. I had wished Dad was here. What about a break from your game, Mom growled. Is this going to be another day of doing nothing? She was right. There was nothing I wanted to do except destroy Martians. She took the game out of my hands and put it away somewhere, as usual. I found it, as usual, and went outside, where it felt like everything in our garden was hiding from the rain. I held my game tightly. Maybe it would protect me from this boring, wet place. I walked down the hill. At the bottom of our path, I saw some flat rocks in the pond. The rocks were round, like the heads of Martians. I wanted to jump on them and crush them. Oh no, what did I do? My game fell in the pond. This could not be happening to me. I stuck my hand into the water to grab it. It was so icy cold, I screamed. Without my game, I had nothing to do. The rain felt like rocks were hitting me. I was a small tree trapped outside in a hurricane. Just then, there were 4 lights and 4 huge snails appeared. Is there anything around here to do? I asked them. Yes, indeed, they told me. I reached out and touched their antenna, as soft as jello. It made me smile. So I followed them down a path and found dozens of mushrooms. The air was so damp. I knew the smell from when I was small. My grandparents' basement. My cave of treasures. I felt a sense that there was something special close by, that I was surrounded. I bent down and dug my fingers into the mud, where 1,000 seeds and pellets, kernels, grains, roots, and berries touched my fingers and hands. An underground world of treasures that I could feel. I looked up at the sky. Sunbeams fell down through a giant strainer and blinded me. I thought I could hear the beat of drums from far away, but that sound was my heart. I felt filled up with energy and began running fast, so fast that I fell down the hill, and there at the bottom everything was turned upside down. The whole world seemed brand new, as if it had been created right in front of me. I climbed a tree and looked out as far as my eyes could see. I breathed in air until my lungs were bursting. I drank the raindrops like an animal would. I noticed bugs I'd never seen before. I talked to a bird. I made my biggest splash, and then I collected smooth stones as clear as glass and watched the world shining through them. Why hadn't I done those things before today? Soaked to my bones, I ran inside the house, took off my coat, and looked in the mirror. I thought I saw my dad smiling at me. My mother was there still writing, but now she looked different, like one of those creatures outside. Oh, you're soaked. I'll dry you. She took a towel and brought me to the kitchen. I felt like giving her a big, huge hug. I wanted to tell her what I had seen, felt, and tasted outside in the world, but I didn't. We just sat in the kitchen, looked at each other, and breathed in the delicious smell of our hot chocolate. That's it. That's all we did on this magical do-nothing day. And that is the end of our story.
Each week, as part of our time together, we gather together and speak the joys and sorrows of our life. We do this, we say, because sorrow is easier born in community, and joy is easier to celebrate. And that the two, as Khalil Gibran puts it, are inseparable. We shall first sing for all that is our life. There we go. There we go. Thank you, Bill. Ooh. Yes, I have been saved many a time by Bill. Yes, by several people at that piano over many years now. Anyway, our next hymn is number 128, For All That Is Our Life. If you would please rise in body or in spirit. And this time I'll take the order of service back to the chair with me. So each week in our service, we take a moment of humor. We also take a moment to do exactly what that song describes, to sing out praise and thanks both for the gift of life, but also the sorrows we must bear. We do that together in community. So, into this shared silence, I invite you gathered here to speak the name of somebody that you are carrying in sorrow or grief this morning. The folks on the live chat will type their names into the chat box, and I will repeat the names into this shared space that we hold across the space of our community. Who are we carrying in sorrow this morning? Leona. Angie. Tornado victims. The family of Mary Grabowski, whose memorial service was yesterday. In the chat box, there is care for my sister Deirdre, worry for M, S, and E, thinking of Leona at the death of Bryce, sorrow for the tornado victims. At the memorial service yesterday, one of the readings that the family chose was from Khalil Gibran's The Prophet, where he writes, I'm not going to be able to do it word for word right now, but he writes that your joy is your sorrow unmasked. That the things that give us joy are the things that we weep for when they are gone. And the things that we weep for are so often the things that have brought us joy. So what are the names and things that bring us joy this Sunday morning? Woody. The sunshine. It's supposed to be 70 degrees on Wednesday. I don't know if I'm excited or terrified. Woo! For the people in the live stream, Keith and Megan McGuffey are expecting their first child. There's a note from Dana Atterbury in the chat, joy for all those who help keep my leaky raft called life afloat during these turbulent times. It is Becky's 75th birthday. Priscilla is got a booster shot. Mary Jane says long walks, weather permitting. On Wednesday. Your cat? Your wacky cat. Yes. There is much, much, much to be joyful about. This is not an exhaustive list. It never is, either of joy or of sorrow. So we close this by taking a moment to recognize the joys and sorrows in our heart that are deeply felt, but perhaps not spoken yet. Our next hymn is a joyful carol, And there was some debate in the worship team as to whether or not this is a carol that people know. So what we are going to do is Bill is going to play it through once on the piano, and then we will join the second time through. This is 233 in the hymnal. If you are looking in a hymnal, the first verse is in French. We are not going to sing it in French. We are going to listen to Bill play it through once instrumentally, and then join in the verses in English. This is Bring a Torch. Please rise in body or in spirit.
Each week we take up a collection to support the work of this church and our partners in the broader world. We do this because just as we know that we all grow from being a part of this place, we also give back to it in our own way. As we listen to the next song, you can contribute by texting UC Lincoln and the amount you wish to give to 73256. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. Dance me through the panic till I'm gathered safely in. Lift me like an olive branch and be my homeward dove. Just dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the wedding now, and dance me on and on. Dance me very tenderly, and dance me very long. We're both of us beneath our love, we're both of us above. Just dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the children who are asking to be born. Dance me through the curtains that our kisses have outworn. Raise a tent of shelter now, though every thread is torn. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to your beauty with a burning violin. Dance me through the panic till I'm gathered safely in. Touch me with your naked hand or touch me with your glove. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Dance me to the end of love. Thank you. Thank you.
Today's reading is a poem by Brian Bilston. It's called To-Do List. 1. Delay with an urgent hesitation. 2. Be unwavering in vacillation. 3. Embrace the art of equivocation. 4. Read a book on procrastination. 5. Dilly-dally, dither, be dilatory. 6. Drink tea through the day continually. 7. Look up avoidance in the dictionary. 8. Ignore all forms of worthwhile industry. 9. Break for lunch. 10. Ponder the intrinsic nature of work. 11. Reprioritize which tasks to shirk. 12. Allow 3 hours to hem and haw. 13. Lollygag, chew my jaw. 14. Stroke the cat, lose my pen. 15. Redo tasks 1 through 10. 16. Lurch and flounder, loll and wallow. 17. Write to-do list for tomorrow.
I get bored a lot. I don't actually say this as a moral failing or any reflection on the work that I do from day to day. It is instead part of my personality that goes back as long as any family story can remember. Last month I was able to spend some time with my mom, and I may have not complained, but observed some difficulties inherent in parenting. Oh, that's nothing, she told me. When you were in school, you would get so excited at the beginning of every school year. You would get your new books, read them all cover to cover in the first month, get A's, and then get bored. By October, you'd read through the entire year, and if you'd already been through it once, what was the point? Literally, reading the encyclopedia was more interesting than doing homework for stuff you had read 4 months ago. So every year, your dad and I watched those A's at the beginning of the year turned into B's and C's later, as your interests moved on to other things before the whole cycle started again this fall. I do believe I still own the record in Maine Endwell High School for being admitted into advanced placement classes and then dropping out of them halfway through the year more than any other student before or since. And as much as I would like to claim that that is no longer who I am, it's not a mistake that I ended up in a job where you spend a whole week doing a deep dive into one topic and then on Monday start over again with an entirely different one. There's nothing I love quite as much as browsing Wikipedia or Quora without agenda or time frame. Who knew 3,000 words could be written about the about the unusual phenomenon of snow in Florida? The culture that we exist in tells us that this is frivolous, that the real way to do things is chipping away at a big goal, step by step, focusing on how productive we are at every moment. That's how we demonstrate worth. It is how to succeed, how to make money, how we demonstrate our moral character in public. Be productive, stick to it, and then show what you've done. This is essentially Max Weber's spirit of the Protestant ethic and the spirit of capitalism. That we demonstrate virtue in this life by the accumulation of capital through hard work. This is one of the cornerstones of American society. And don't get me wrong, there are times when that is the right thing to do, repetitive, iterative, structured work over time. It's how you train to run long distances, or for that matter, parent a 4-year-old. Read the same book over and over and over. Set a 10-minute timer at dinner over and over and over. But I'm here not to praise productivity, but to bury it. Churches are cultural institutions. And Weber was pretty clearly pointing to proto-Unitarian churches when he described the Protestant ethic of hard work. But at our best, churches are also profoundly countercultural, holding up an alternate way of being where value is not tied to productivity. So this morning, let us sing the praises of Futzing. Futzing, from the Yiddish, farting around. And yes, Eilish, on the live stream, Daddy just said a potty word at church. Rules are sometimes complicated. Please don't do that. But farting around, that's what we're talking about. 30 minutes before the congregational meeting this afternoon. Because for as much as the congregational meeting is about what we have done and what we are doing, a direct reflection of that Protestant ethic, that's not the only thing that a church is about. Put another way, is value a function of if value is a function of productivity, then what does a church produce? What is our product? It's a nonsensical question. Reverend Melissa Flora Bixler, pastor of Raleigh Mennonite Church, put it this way: what we do at my church will look like a waste of time and money in the broader order of utilitarianism. We sing together, we share bread, we tell stories. We form people in the church to be very bad at capitalism. But I'm aware that the people who come to worship at my church are inundated with the message that their worth is tied to production, that we are what we make of ourselves, how we use our potential for good in the world. On Sunday mornings, they could be working, they're told. Indeed, on Sunday mornings, they should be working. But instead, in my church, we take time. We take time. to worship. We recall that the world is held in care by God's love and that we are called to that love. There is nothing we have to do or say or be that will make us more beloved, more worthy of love. We are simply creatures, frail and vulnerable, whose being flows from a God who is love. We are grateful together. Churches are not about production. They are about taking time, recognizing love, building connection, creating the conditions for inspiration. None of this looks very productive, even when it does, in the end, produce something. So here's a concrete example of what I mean, sermon writing. My sister is a novelist, and for her and many authors, this is a discipline. This many words per week, usually at this time of day. Some ministers are like this. Others are motivated to write their best on deadlines. I am not one of those writers. This sermon was written while listening to a Jessie J concert on location in Japan, made up of covers as varied as My Heart Will Go On and reflections from the Disney movie Mulan. I am a creature of tangents, of facts like this. The first recorded snowfall in Florida was in 1774, and there is a written record from Jacksonville calling it extraordinary white rain. I like to futz. And so for me, this work of the church is about cultivating unstructured time, creating the conditions for inspiration. For me, with this particular task, it means taking a lot of time early in the week to just sit with a topic. Let whatever bubbles come up. Maybe snowfall in Florida is what this sermon needs. Occasionally jotting down notes, but more often than not, just reading a lot of tangentially connected material. Testing ideas with Stacy, trying out readings and material in meetings over the week. And then, usually late in the week, about Thursday or so, I find a couple hours that are clear on my calendar. And I make sure that I am well-fed, well-rested, in comfortable clothes, with music on, and in front of a blank whiteboard. It is not a particularly productive way of being. It would be more efficient, perhaps, to sit at a computer with a window open on one side, a word processor open on the other, and noise-canceling headphones on. But that has never worked for me well. I actually crave boredom, J.B. Wood writes. Life gets so frantic, moving at a full-throttle pace, trying to manage this job, family activities, domestic chores, committees and boards, church, social events, and some semblance of an online presence, that I feel I must be productive every moment of the day in order to be worthy of myself. What a bonus it would be to discover a chunk of time when nothing was expected of me and I am completely off the hook. Ironically, some of the most productive, spiritually liberating, and creative moments come when we are unstructured, when we are bored. These are the times when our minds can wander and we begin to daydream, when our subconscious starts connecting the dots to reveal new insights. It is when we open this window to nothingness that breakthroughs occur, when spontaneous conversations happen. Perhaps even holiness and grace patiently await us in those moments of unplanned inactivity. For me, the best sermons come out of unstructured time, where the point is not focusing on producing any particular thing, but providing conditions for inspiration. And then sometimes it doesn't work, and I have to write a sermon on deadline on Saturday night. And, well, sometimes inspiration hits at funny times. But that is also what church can be. Not a place to come and tell each other to be more productive. We get enough of that on Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday morning when we show up to work. A place to come where time can be unstructured, to be simply with ourselves and each other, to fart around a little, and, when we are very lucky, to be inspired. Amen. Our closing hymn is number 311, Let It Be a Dance. Would you please rise in body or in spirit as we sing together? So often the closing words in a worship service are an opportunity to reiterate the basic point of the sermon, which is absolutely not what we're going to do today. Because at 11 o'clock, in a structured way, we will have our winter congregational meeting. So I want you to participate in this winter congregational meeting, and then on Monday I want you to go back and watch that sermon and remember unstructured time is also part of a church. But for now, we'll have one more song from the band, then we will take about a 5-minute break here, and then we will gather back in this room to start the congregational meeting. For those people on the live stream, it is going to be a different link. So if you go to your e-blast from Friday, there you can see several links in there. One says, to see the winter congregational meeting live, click here. You're going to need to click on that link. So we will gather back here to do that. We're going to discuss the things that we have up for a vote. And then we are going to have folks vote online in the next 48 hours. This is so that we can have the same voting method both for people participating in person and online. We've also sent out paper ballots ahead of time for folks that need those. That is a terrible summation of a sermon on unstructured time and futzing around, but sometimes that is what happens. So we're going to have one last piece of music, and then we will see you back here in about 10 minutes for the start of that meeting.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions. Rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it, but I know they're wrong. Wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered, and wished on the morning star? Somebody thought of it, and somebody believed it, and look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that it keeps us stargazing? And what do they think we might see? Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. All of us under a spell. We know that it's probably magic. Have you been half asleep, and have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Is this the sweet sound that calls the young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something I'm supposed to be. But someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers and me. La 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 la. La 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 la. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
All right, we will see you back here in a couple minutes. As one last note, our bylaws require us to have 20% of active membership to have a quorum.